up, guys? I got my little helper right here. Say hi.
Hi.
All right. So I was gonna go ahead and do videos on the AC work on here and stuff like that, but it got busy yesterday. And I went ahead and did the AC, worked on the AC on this thing, and then whole hell broke loose. Nothing seemed to go right, but I worked on the caliper, found out I had a bad brake line going into the caliper I need to replace. When I opened up the bleeder valve, there was no fluid that came out of the caliper. So I'm gonna have to go ahead and put a new rubber line on there, not a big deal. And then the alternator fried itself on the truck. And so I had to take that out and go get a new alternator and put that back in yesterday. So it was a hell of a day yesterday, but I got the AC blowing ice cold for right now. I've still got to look for the leaks. I don't know where the leaks are. I put some of the dye in there to look for it, and I'm going to put it up on the ramps and do an oil change on it right now, which I'll kind of walk you through. Yeah.
We're going to Ford.
Well, I'm gonna get the ramps. Oh, look at this. Oh my God, what is that?
Gumballs from Kinley's room.
Hey, Kinley. Remember, we gotta shut your door from now on, sweetie.
I did.
Apparently not. Yeah, I gotta get the ramps for the Ford.
And they can go in there.
Well, no, we're not gonna go in the Ford right now. I'm just gonna get the ramps. I'm gonna put the Ford up on the ramps, and we're gonna change the oil, okay?
Why?
Because it's overdue for an oil change, so I gotta go ahead and get that done. Anyway, my son just came out here. He was covered in gumball juice. That's not good. But anyway, so I checked the brake. I did the brake thing. I'm going to check for leaks when I get it up on the ramps. And then I'm going to change the oil. So I'm going to use the UV light and check for the leaks. Yeah, it's going to be a little different than my normal vlog. I'll be leaving out back on the road later on today. But I just wanted to get this oil changed first, because we might be driving this down to Pigeon Forward next week. So, you know, with a camper behind it. So I want to make sure it's good to go. Anyway, let's do it.
How are you going to get this truck on the ramp?
I'm going to drive it onto the ramps,
okay,
assuming it'll start. Make sure the alternator is still good in here.
Okay.
Moment of truth. It started! That means I did something right yesterday. AC's blowing cold. Yeah. It's running. That means I did something right. Oh yeah. One ramp. Messy garage. Picnic table I got to put together. Oh, and the other ramp. Saturated in spiders. Awesome. There it is. Put this. Alright, we're going to put the ramp right under the tire. Alright. Just about perfect right there. Look at that. Now let's get the other ramp, because it has two front wheels, you see. I hear that compressor kicking back and forth. That's good. You all right?
No.
Okay, well, just be careful. There's a bunch of stuff to hit your head on, okay? There's all sorts of hard metal stuff down.
I don't want to go.
You don't want to go under there now?
Mm-mm.
Okay, that's fine. All right, anyway, now I'm into the truck. I'm going to look for some leaks, some coolant, or not coolant leaks, but some Freon refrigerant leaks, and see if, you know, my worst case scenario is the compressor. Let's hope the compressor isn't leaking. But that's a very common failure. So let's check it out. Let's use this fancy old UV light and see. Alright, there is the compressor. Let's see what it looks like here. Please don't be any fancy little stuff on there. Oh, that's not cool. That's not really a leak. I can't tell if that's... That's a weird place for it though. It's not coming out of the bottom. But there's no fittings up there for this. So I don't know why that would be. It's not really where... Normally they are right there about where the pulley is. I don't see anything around the pulley area, which is kind of strange if it's leaking at all. So, I don't know. We'll see what the AC does, I guess. But I don't want to tear apart the... I don't want to tear apart everything to get to the evaporator, so... We'll see. See what it does. Here's the oil filter on this truck. You can see the front of the truck here, and then the filter. It's a little tight to get to. That's why I got a K&N this time, so I can just use a nut or a ratchet and a socket and get it on there. That way it's a little easier than a filter wrench. But yeah, everything else under here though is pretty solid. A lot of these things are rust. A lot of these Expeditions are rust, but the frame and everything on this is really solid. Alright, let's get to changing the oil. Now this is what this particular truck uses. 5W20, and then there's the K&N air or oil filter, and then the filter wrench to get the old one off, and then I'll use a regular ratchet to put the K&N on since... Whoopsies! Don't drop the phone, dummy. Since, that's what I love about K&Ns. Not to mention the fact it's a K&N is going to add 20 horsepower. We got this nut right here, so I don't know what size that is. But now my daughter's calling me. It's so hard to work on your stuff when you have kids. Yeah, Kinley! What are you doing? What do you need?
I turned over the Jeep.
You turned over the Jeep?
Yeah.
It looks like it's still on all four wheels to me. Yeah, I'd say it's still on all four wheels. Alright, I'm going to work on the truck, okay?
Okay.
Alright. Get my handy dandy tool set here that I keep in my truck at all times, because you never know when that'll come in handy in a Ford. We'll go ahead and just throw it all, the whole kit under the truck. I've already got my oil pan under there. And then we'll grab the filter wrench, throw that under there. This thing takes like 8 quarts, so I had to get 2 of these big ones. Oh boy, here we go. Yeah, Kinley. Alright, well, I told you that if you get stuck, I can't keep climbing out from under the truck to get you. You're not stuck. Get forward. That is not stuck. Go forward. You gotta turn the wheel this way, sweetie. Other way. Crash. You got it back up towards the semi. Okay. Turn the wheel. There you go, that way. There you go. Keep going. 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 Alright, now turn the wheel this way. Okay, and go forward. There you go. Just like that. Alright, well, you're going to have to go. This isn't a very big yard. Can't wait till we get a new house with a bigger yard, but right now this will have to do. So you got to keep putting it in reverse, okay? Yeah, I know. I kind of parked the Jeep in the grass, don't I, right now? Yeah, I'm sorry. I got to go to work today yet. Here's the oil pan I use. Nothing special. Then I just dump it into a 5-gallon bucket afterwards, and once that 5-gallon bucket gets full, I take it to a buddy's house. He recycles it. Alright, there's the drain plug. And now is when you have to go searching through your toolbox and find the right size and all that stuff. But I'm going to tell you, I'm going to do you a solid. I'm going to tell you exactly what size this is. It is a 17. So just use a 17. You can use a socket. You can use a line wrench, whatever you want to use. And then you just got to break it loose and make sure you've got the pan far enough away that it accounts for the trajectory of the oil as it comes pushing out. So let's do this here. It's always a good idea too to go ahead and run the truck a little bit, you know, like I did earlier. Get the oil a little bit warmed up so it flows out better. At least especially in the wintertime. In the wintertime it's really thick, so you really got it, that way you get it on. forgot is you want to make sure you have, you know, a roll of shop towels. That way, in case you make a mess. And so also you need to have a towel or something to wrap your drain plug in, because the last thing you want to do is get dirt and grime in the threads of your drain plug, because then if you do that, it won't seat right and you'll leak oil. So let's not do that. Let's not leak any oil. That's no fun. So you want to make sure you get that, you know, nice and clean and keep it clean. And then you let it all drain out of the pan, or out of the oil pan there. And yeah, now I just got to pull the filter off. And but first I'm going to put the drain plug back in, because I got to use the drain pan here to catch the oil that comes out of the filter. So yeah, that's how you do it. Also, don't do this on a windy day if you do it outside. If you do it in the garage, do it during a tornado if you want. But it's horribly messy if you do it on a windy day. Trust me. I tried to do it on a windy day one time with my Jeep, and a gust of wind. I thought I was able to get it done right before it got too windy, but a gust of wind came sweeping under the Jeep and blew oil everywhere as it drained out of the pan. It wasn't pretty. Don't do that. Don't be me. Don't be me. All right, we now have a nice little drip of oil coming out of the pan, so it's safe to go ahead and put the plug back in, and we will do the filter next. See how clean that thing is? I want to make sure it stays that way. Alright, I just got to tighten her up with the wrench and that'll be done. Also, for those of you who are completely new to changing your own oil, once you empty that oil pan, do not start the engine. Do not start the engine. All it takes is a couple of minutes of running this engine now, if that even, for it to completely destroy it. That's how important oil is. That's how important oil changes are. You need to make sure your oil stays clean. You need to make sure you change it at the right intervals, because if you don't, then that will destroy your engine. So you really want to make sure, do not start the engine. You know, even just to back it off the ramps to put oil in, because it might be easier, especially on a big truck like this. It's easier if it's not on the ramps to put the oil in with it on the ground, because it's lower. And you know, I'm 5'10", but even I feel short when I work on this truck. I have to use, like to do the alternator yesterday, I had to use not a step ladder, but like a step stool, so that I could reach the alternator and the belt tensioner. You know, so I'll probably have to just put the oil in. But you know, that's what you got to do, because you don't want to, I mean, unless it's something light enough, which this really isn't that light, you can push it off. Like with the Jeep, if I have it on the ramps, I'll just put it in neutral, and the Jeep is light enough, I can stick my foot out of the Jeep while I'm sitting in it and push it off the ramps with my foot. You know, but, you know, I wouldn't want to push it off the ramps without anybody in it to catch it with the brakes, because once it starts to roll off those ramps, it'll roll fast. So you don't want anybody to not be in it. You want somebody to be in there, ready to hit the brakes, and they're going to be hard to hit because the engine's off, so there's not going to be any power brakes. So keep that in mind too. It's just easier to put the oil back in when you are, before you take it off the ramps. That way you know you're safe. Okay, so let's go ahead and get this filter, which is the hardest part of this job on this particular vehicle because of the placement of the filter. But you just have to be patient and you'll get it. All right, put the oil pan under the filter now, which is right there. That white thing right there is the filter. And we'll go ahead and take that off right now. See how the handle is on the filter wrench? You know, it's not a real good leverage point where that is. So you just really just kind of gotta loosen it just a hair, so that's loose enough you can turn it with your hands, and then you're golden. But there's nowhere to set the camera right now to show this, so I'll just have to show you after. Okay, kids, here's a lesson. When you put your filter on, don't over tighten it. I've never over tightened a filter before, but this filter did not want to come off. Right there is where it goes. You can see the oil dripping out. That was a real pain. I'm glad I got a different filter with a different tightening mechanism, because that was an absolute pain to come off. So we got her. Now it's time to put the new filter on. Here's the new filter. K&N filter. Got the hex nut on there. Welded on, so it'll be a lot easier to put on. Next step you want to do, you want to go ahead and put some oil on this gasket right here. That way it seats and it doesn't dry up over time. And you can use old oil or you can use new oil. It really doesn't matter. A lot of people will tell you new oil, but it doesn't really matter. All you got to do is get this gasket to moisten up and remain pliable, so that, like I said, it doesn't dry up before you do your next oil change, which could cause it to leak. So I'll just go ahead and put some new oil on it since I'm already up here and the new oil is up here. So let's go ahead and do that. You just take your finger and just rub it around that gasket all the way around, get a nice little coating of oil on it, and then put it back into the spot where the filter goes. There you have it. It's in there now. It is a, by the way, anybody ever gets one of these K&N oil filters, it's a 1-inch socket that you need to use for that. Alright, now all we got to do is put some oil in the engine and we'll be good to go. Alright, so here we go. We just got to put the oil in right there. Alright, it's always best to use a funnel, of course. You got flour for me. Looks like some wheat. Yeah, it looks like wheat. Pretty. Golden. After you put in 5 quarts in this engine, I know this engine takes well over 5 quarts. So once you put in 5 quarts, you can do that safely, and then start checking, every half a quart or quart on your dipstick to see where it comes up to the dipstick at before you call it quits. You also want to make sure too, as you're pouring it in, periodically look under the truck, make sure your drain plug and your oil filter are snug enough that you don't have any oil dripping through the drain plug or anything like that. So just want to make sure it's not dripping. But anyways, guys, that will conclude the oil change. Let me see something here real quick. See, I want to show you what I did too with the alternator here. See right there, that shiny part right there, that's the pulley for the new alternator. And then the alternator, of course, is right there. I had to replace that yesterday, but that was easy. There were only a few bolts to take off, and then took off the intake and everything. So it went pretty easy. Took the belt off down there. There's a tensioner pulley. Pretty simple stuff. A lot simpler than you would expect on a big engine like this, but it's kind of tight. But anyway, with that said, guys, I'm done. I'm gonna go ahead and sign off of here. And that is how you change the oil in a 2006 Ford Expedition Limited. It's pretty much the same concept on any car. You just have different locations for your filter, and your drain plug might be in a different area, things like that. So you just sometimes it's a little, like on our Toyota, it's a different style of oil filter altogether. There's like several different parts for just one filter, but it's still simple. So that's gonna conclude it, guys. I hope you all have a good one out there. Hope you all stay safe. It's a little different than my normal trucking videos, but I'll be on the road again here this afternoon. I'm gonna finish putting the oil in here that it needs. I'm gonna take the little one for a ride in the Jeep because she's been asking to go for a ride in the Jeep, and then I'll come back, take a shower, and get on the road. So we'll see you guys all later. Take care.